In a society that one would consider to be an enlightened society, is it really necessary to have leaders?
Well, we've never known an enlightened society. First, let us define. By enlightenment really is conscious responding to the calling.
Okay.
In other words, your exposure to contrast causes you to become, and that which you have become pulses as this vibration that you as a sensing being can move toward or move away from. And you can do it deliberately or indeliberately. So that is such an individual thing. It's possible to have enlightened leaders who, through their power of influence, affect more people in your society. But we would use the word enlightenment in a more individual basis. Because there will always be those who are listening to source, and there will always be those who are not. There will always be those who will use their stubborn determination of the book that they dug up as their guidance, rather than listening to what is coming from within. Give us a little basis of your question.
Well, actually, the question came from my friend, so that's about as deep as I can go with it.
The reason that we don't really want to answer your question in the way that encourages you to keep going that way is because when you're looking for an enlightened society, you are outside of anything you can do anything about. Because the only thing that you can do anything about is your own vibrational proximity. And of course, you live and teach by the power of your example. So if you are determined to be aware of your own vibrational proximity to being the complete being that you are, complete in the eternally incomplete sense, but closing the gap, closing the gap, closing the gap. As you're working on following your guidance and coming into alignment with who you are highly influential. In other words, one who is connected to source is more powerful than millions who are not. But when you talk in terms of an enlightened society, now you disempower yourself, because now you've really got to be concerned about all those other people out there that have got to close their gaps, you see, where you don't need a whole lot of people to close the gap before you can close your gap, and you don't need a whole lot of people to close their gap in order for you to close your gap and be highly influential. So an enlightened society, we suppose, really means where more and more people are becoming cognizant of their own emotional guidance system and who are living life more purposefully.
Right.
But you see, the reason that we don't go there easily, in fact, we don't go there at all, is because we stubbornly hold to the premise that no one is in the wrong place, no matter where they are. And there's something about talking about this enlightened society that really is at the heart of people not doing better about moving where they want to go, because they've already been considered as inappropriate or unworthy or unenlightened or incapable, you see. And we want everybody to be proud of where they are and eager for something even better. When societies start comparing aspects of society, which is a natural thing, it's natural that you do it, but where you try to orchestrate societies from a sort of overview rather than from an internal individual, it never works. That's why we don't worry about societies. The great societies come and go and come and go and come and go and come and go. Have any of you read any of that history? And you don't even have a spattering of it. In other words, these great societies, they fail over and over and over again. It's New Orleans all over again, over and over and over, as they attempt the impossible, as they try to get outside of society and think for society, when society will always be a grassroots movement. Society will always be individuals having individual experiences, and every individual, it's such a remarkable thing, every individual loved and known and answered by source. You don't need a governmental arbitrator. You don't need a spiritual arbitrator. You don't need anybody making a request on your behalf. You are all, every single one of you, personally, individually, connected to source, and when any of you ask for anything, it is given. So, never mind enlightened society. Let society do whatever it individually becomes. Yes.
Yeah, as I was sitting here listening to you, it occurred to me that for my whole life, I've never felt a need to have a leader or to follow a leader. I've always felt independent and wanting to go my own way. But it seems that the majority of people do want to follow a leader, and that probably is why we have leaders.
Well, we want to take issue with that just a little bit.
Okay.
Because if they were joyful in their following, we'd say, maybe they're onto something. But they're miserable. They are miserable in their following, and they are bickering over who is the one to follow. And they are actually, you may not believe this either, but they gather bombs and try to kill those who don't follow.
I believe it.
They are not joyful in their following. And the reason that we can so blatantly speak that from a place of absolute knowing is because what every person knows internally is self-empowerment. Self-empowerment meaning I have the ability to choose, I have the right to choose, and I have the worthiness to receive what I have chosen. That's the best description of self-empowerment, you see. But when people have a disconnect between what they're thinking and feeling and what's coming back to them, when they don't get it, that their life is a mere responding to their vibrational output, then they start looking outside of themselves for improvement of conditions. And as they look outside of themselves for improvement of conditions, it can go so far, but waiting for someone else never feels good. Have you ever known anyone who was dependent upon anyone, whether it's dependent upon government or dependent upon a program or even dependent upon another? Have you ever known a dependent person to be appreciative and joyful?
No.
Usually they're uncomfortable because there's something that they can feel that is not happening for them, you see. That's why we adore seeing someone move from despair into rage or despair into anger. If they are consciously able to acknowledge, I deliberately chose that thought, and my deliberate thought has released me from some resistance, and I feel better. Because we know if someone can take that one step, then there's no place that they cannot go. But if any person believes that they are powerless to change the way they feel, that they have to wait for something outside of them that doesn't understand them, or that doesn't like them, or that won't hear them, or that doesn't have the power to hear them, or who hears them but doesn't have the power to do anything about it, as they feel that something needs to change but they don't have the power to get somebody that has the power to make it change, disempowerment. No worse feeling in all the world. And in fact, everything on that emotional scale is a degree of disempowerment to empowerment. Every single emotion. We call them all kinds of different things with the human tongue. Love and appreciation and joy. Empowerment, 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 empowerment. Fear, despair, grief, disempowerment, 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 disempowerment. And as you move up the emotional scale, you're coming more fully into who you are. In other words, and can you feel how you're the only one who can propel yourself into who you are? Just got to turn that way and keep going. And with every step in that direction, you breathe more deeply, you feel better, you feel more empowered.
Yeah, for me, it's so nice to know about this emotional scale, because until I heard you talking about going from despair to anger, being a step in the right direction, I was always afraid of being angry.
Most people are.
I would repress it because...
So what happens is they're in their despair and Source calls them this way, and they get into anger, and then everybody around them says, that's inappropriate.
Right.
So they go back to despair.
Exactly.
And then Source calls them into anger, then everyone around them says, that's inappropriate. Then they go back to despair. So they go despair, anger, despair, anger, despair, anger, despair, anger, despair, anger, and then they announce themselves powerless. Yeah. But if you have deliberately acknowledged the relief that you feel, now you can keep going. Now you realize that the same effort that got you that far can get you wherever you want to be. And it's interesting because you are multi-dimensional beings living varieties of lives on varieties of subjects. So some subjects, it's easy for you to stay in a good feeling range, and other subjects, you're in a not very good feeling range, and you are sort of averaging a life experience that doesn't feel very much like you're in control. But once you take one issue and you deliberately improve the way you feel about it, now you've got it. Now there isn't anything that you can't improve if you're willing to lean in the direction of what feels better. And that's why we offer endless processes. In the Ask and It Is Given book, there are 22 processes and there are 100 more coming. And what they all are, every one of them is about closing that vibrational gap, you see. Every one of them. And they are written with an understanding that different one of them work better depending upon where you are on the emotional scale. But really, you could throw them all away and just decide that you're going to fork in the direction of what feels best. If we were standing in your physical shoes, we would leave this gathering with two intentions. I'm going to make peace with where I am because it's okay. And I'm going to lean in the direction that feels even better. And if you could hold that as your mantra, where I am's all right, I'm still good and Source still loves me and is still calling me. And if I will listen, that maybe even some emotions that the world around me would condemn really are a step in the right direction, now you've got it. And before you know it, really in a short period of time, you will have come into vibrational alignment with every issue that has been plaguing you. And then you can begin living life as you intended when you got here, which is, here I am, wonderful me, contrast causing me to uniquely desire. There's my desire. Source says, good idea. We're on it. We're with you. We've become it. Come with us. It's good over here. Okay. So it goes like this. Contrast gives birth to a rocket. Source becomes it, calls you. You feel better and better and better and better and better and better. You come into alignment. Now you have different vantage point, different contrast. New rocket. Source becomes it, calls you. You come into vibrational alignment. You become it. New vantage point. Contrast causes you to launch another rocket. Source immediately becomes it, calls you. So what's all this about? If you never get it done, what's it about? It's about the joy of living in the crack. It is. It's about the joy of becoming and then becoming and then becoming. And then the joy of becoming and then becoming and then becoming. It's this eternal process of becoming. Jerry and Esther, as they play with their grandchildren, are thrilled with the renewed revelation that every moment is just about how much fun you can get out of it. It's really funny to watch Kate. She's 3. She will come to play with them. And Jerry and Esther will set aside the day or the evening, the hours that she's there to play. And at first, the play is softer. And then it becomes more and more fun as the 3 of them get more stimulated about how to get more fun out of the moment. And then as the day goes on and Kate starts getting the sense that it's almost time for Mom and Dad to come and get her, she kicks it into high gear to try to milk even more fun from it. It's almost like manically running from fun thing to 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 fun thing. And that really is the feeling with which you came into these physical bodies. It was for what can this moment in time stimulate, and how much deliciousness of life will I be able to milk from this? It's not about, here I stand in a not very good place and I must figure out how to get over there in a better place. It's, how can I receive the most from this moment of becoming? Because it is the becoming that is life. It's not the getting there, because you never get there.